The medical bay was quiet except for the hum of healing equipment. Tay lay on a bed designed for species much larger than humans, his ribs wrapped in compression bandages. The doctors had given him something for the pain, but everything still hurt. The door opened. Tay limped in, his knee heavily bandaged and supported by a medical brace. He moved slowly to the bed next to Tay's and sat down with a grunt of pain. They sat in silence for several minutes. "I underestimated you," Tay finally said. His voice was quiet without the earlier arrogance. "You are not the first," Tay replied. "I thought you would break in the first 5 minutes, that your weak human bones would shatter under my assault." Tay looked at his bandaged knee. "Instead, I am the one who broke." "Your knee will heal," Tay said. "Perhaps, but my pride will take longer." Tay turned to face Tay directly. "I have fought for 40 years. I have defeated the strongest warriors of a dozen species. You should not have won." "I did not win through strength," Tay said. "I won through endurance, through making you fight my kind of battle instead of yours." Tay was quiet, considering this. "You fought with intelligence, strategy. This is not how Karathi fight." "Maybe that is something your people could learn," Tay suggested carefully. Tay laughed, then winced at the pain it caused. "You are bold, human, to lecture a Karathi champion on combat." He stood slowly, preparing to leave. "But perhaps you are not wrong. House Iron sent me to prove humans are weak. Instead, I proved they can defeat even our best. I will think on this." After Day left, Nari entered. She carried a tray of food. "You should be resting, not having philosophical discussions with your opponents," she said. But she was smiling. "He came to me," Tay pointed out. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. His ribs protested sharply. Nari helped him into a more comfortable position. "The entire station is talking about your fight. Aliens are placing bets on what you will do next. What I will do next is try not to vomit from pain medication," Tay said. "After that, I guess we go to Karatha Prime." "If you still wish to," Nari said. "You have proven yourself worthy. The Council cannot deny that now." Tay looked at her carefully. "Do you want me to come?" Nari was quiet for a moment. 3 weeks ago, I would have said no. I would have preferred to handle this situation alone to protect my family's honor without complications. "And now I find myself hoping you will come," she said softly. "Not because of tradition or politics, because I want you there." Something warm spread through Tai's chest that had nothing to do with pain medication. 1 week later, Tay stood in the cargo bay of the Valor's Edge, Nari's ship. His ribs were mostly healed, though they still ached when he moved wrong. Juan had come to see him off. "I cannot believe you are really doing this," Juan said, looking around at the Karathi crew members preparing for departure. "Neither can I." "Sometimes," Tay admitted. "If you die on some alien planet." "I am selling all your stuff," Juan said, but his eyes were wet. They embraced. "Take care of yourself," Tay said. "You take care of yourself," Juan replied. "You are the one flying into the unknown with a ship full of warrior aliens." The journey to Karatha Prime took 2 weeks through hyperspace. Tay spent that time learning everything he could about Karathi culture and history. The ship's library was extensive. Tay read about the ancient clan wars that had nearly destroyed the Karathi species. He learned about the Great Unification, when the clans agreed to follow shared traditions instead of fighting each other. He studied the complex family structures, the honor codes, the elaborate ceremonies. Rena joined his studies sometimes, answering questions and correcting his pronunciation of Karathi words. Her initial hostility had faded after watching him defeat Day. "You fight like a human," she told him one day during a training session. "I am human," Tay pointed out. "I mean, you fight like humans think," Rena explained. "Karathi trained to perfect techniques passed down for generations. You make things up as you go. You adapt. Is that a compliment?" "It is an observation," Rena said. "But yes, perhaps a small compliment." Tay spent most of his free time with Nari. They would sit in the ship's observation lounge, watching the strange colors of hyperspace stream past the windows. Nari told him about her childhood, how she had wanted to be a scientist, studying the stars and alien cultures, but as the eldest child of a noble house, she had been sent to military training instead. "I learned to love being a warrior," she said, "or at least I learned to accept it. But sometimes I wonder what my life would have been like if I had been allowed to choose." "What would you have chosen?" Tai asked. "I do not know anymore. Nari admitted. The person I might have been feels like a stranger now. Tay talked about Earth, about the oceans he had grown up near, about human music and art. He showed her videos of Earth cities, of forests and mountains and deserts. Your world is very beautiful, Nari said, watching waves crash against a beach, but also very fragile looking. It is tougher than it looks, Tay said. Like humans. One evening, they sat closer than usual on the observation lounge couch. Their hands touched. Neither moved away. I am afraid, Nari said quietly. Of what? Of what the council will do. Of what my mother will say when she meets you. Of what happens if this all falls apart. She turned to look at him. I am afraid of caring about you, Tay. It makes everything more complicated. I am afraid too, Tay admitted. But I think maybe being afraid means it matters. That you matter, Nari kissed him then. It was gentle and careful, as if she was worried she might hurt him with her strength. Tay kissed her back, and for a moment, nothing else existed except the two of them. When they pulled apart, Nari was smiling. This is very against protocol. Karathi warriors are not supposed to show emotion. Good thing I am not Karathi then, Tay said. 2 days before arrival at Karatha Prime, the ship's alarm system activated. The captain's voice came over the intercom. All crew to stations. We have received a priority message from the High Council. Nari and Ty rushed to the bridge. The captain, a stern older Karathi named Commander June, was reading a data display with a grim expression. What is it? Nari demanded. The council has made a decision, June said. They have heard about Tay's victory over Champion Day. They are divided. Divided how? Tay asked. Half the council believes you should be welcomed as proof of human worthiness. The other half believes allowing an alien into a noble house violates fundamental Karathi law. June looked at Nari. Your mother is leading the opposition. Nari's face went pale. My mother opposes this? The matriarch of House Valor has set a final test, June continued. Tay must complete the gauntlet of trials. It is a series of tests designed to prove worthiness to join a noble house. What kind of tests? Tay asked. Trials of strength, combat, wisdom, endurance, and honor, Nari said quietly. They are meant for Karathi who wish to rise above their birth station. The tests are extremely difficult. Many Karathi fail them, and if I fail, Tay asked, then you will be returned to human space and I will be required to choose a proper Karathi mate, Nari said. Her voice was flat, controlled, but Tay could hear the emotion underneath. Rena, who had followed them to the bridge, spoke up. The gauntlet has never been attempted by an alien. The council is using it to get rid of you while maintaining the appearance of fairness. Perhaps, Tay said. Or perhaps they are giving me a real chance to prove myself. Your optimism will get you killed, Rena muttered. Tay looked out the bridge view screen at the swirling colors of hyperspace. Somewhere ahead was Karatha Prime, a world of heavy gravity, ancient traditions, and warriors who had trained their entire lives for tests he would face with only weeks of preparation. He should be terrified, part of him was, but another part felt excited. Ready. This was what he had signed up for when he agreed to hold that mace. When do we arrive? Tay asked. 36 hours, Captain June replied. Then I have 36 hours to prepare, Tay said. He turned to Nari. Teach me everything you know about the gauntlet. I am not giving up now. Nari looked at him with an expression of wonder and fear and something else, something that looked like love. Very well, Tay of Earth, she said. Let us see if you can do the impossible one more time. The ship continued through hyperspace, carrying them toward an uncertain future. But for the first time since this whole situation began, Tay felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Whatever came next, he would face it. Not alone, but with Nari beside him, and that made all the difference. The champion arrived exactly when Nari said he would. Tay watched from the observation platform as the Karathi ship docked with the station. It was smaller than Nari's vessel, but covered in decorative armor plating that marked it as belonging to a noble house. That is the House of Iron Emblem, Nari said quietly beside him. They have been rivals to my family for 3 generations. Why do they care about this situation? Tay asked. Politics, Rena answered. She stood on Nari's other side, arms crossed. If you fail, if you prove unworthy, it embarrasses House Valor. The council might remove Nari's family from their seat. House Iron would claim it. So this is not really about me at all, Tay said. Welcome to Noble House politics. Nari said with a bitter smile. Nothing is ever just about what it seems. The airlock opened. The Karathi who stepped through made Nari look small. He had to be 9 feet tall, maybe more. His armor was polished to a mirror shine, with the House of Iron symbol prominent on his chest. Scars covered his arms and face, badges of honor in Karathi culture. That is Champion Day, Nari whispered. He has won 300 ritual combats. He has never been defeated. Tay felt his mouth go dry. Day strode through the docking bay like he owned it. Other beings scrambled out of his way. His eyes swept the area and locked onto Nari. He approached with heavy, deliberate steps. Commander Nari of House Valor, Day said formally. His voice rumbled like thunder. I bring challenge from House Iron. I receive your challenge, Champion Day, Nari replied, matching his formal tone. Day's eyes moved to Tay. He studied the human for a long moment, then laughed. It was not a pleasant sound, this is the one. This small creature held your family's mace? He did, Nari said firmly. Impossible, Day said. He must have used some trick. Some human technology. There was no trick, Rena said sharply. I witnessed it myself. He held the mace through strength alone. Day circled Tay slowly, like a predator examining prey. Tay forced himself to stand still to not show fear. I challenge this human to traditional combat, Day announced loudly. Several aliens in the docking bay stopped to watch. We will fight with real weapons under Karathi law until one of us yields or cannot continue. I accept, Tay said before Nari could speak. Nari grabbed his arm. Tay, you do not have to— Yes, I do, Tay said quietly. We both know that. If I refuse, you lose honor anyway. Day smiled, showing teeth. Brave words from such a small thing. We fight in 3 days in the station's grand arena. Prepare yourself, human. I will try not to kill you too quickly. After Dai left, Nari turned on Tai. That was foolish. T is one of the deadliest warriors in the Karathi military. You have trained for 20 days. He has trained for 40 years. I know the odds, Tay said. Then you know you cannot win, Nari said, and Tay heard something break in her voice. Fear. She was afraid for him. I do not need to win, Tay said. I just need to survive and not embarrass you. Tay, teach me, he interrupted. We have 3 days. Teach me everything you can about how Day fights. Nari stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Very well. But we do this my way. No heroics. No unnecessary risks. You fight smart or you do not fight at all. The next 3 days were brutal. Nari trained Tay morning, afternoon, and evening. She could not teach him directly. Tradition forbade it once a challenge was official. But she could tell him stories about Day's past victories. She described his fighting style in great detail. She talked about his patterns, his preferences, his weaknesses. Tay listened to every word and absorbed everything. Juan used his trading contacts to get Tay the best equipment available. Lighter armor designed for mobility, a Karathi blade that was smaller than traditional weapons but perfectly balanced. Medical supplies just in case. I still think this is crazy, Juan said as he helped Ty adjust his armor. Noted, Ty said. Rena visited the night before the fight. She looked uncomfortable. I am not good with words, she said gruffly, but I wanted to say, you have courage. More than I expected from a human. Thank you, Tay said. Do not thank me yet. You will probably die tomorrow, she paused. But if you do not, I will reconsider my opinion of your species. The morning of the fight, Tay could not eat. His stomach was twisted in knots. He put on his armor with shaking hands. Nari found him in the preparation room. They stood together in silence for a moment. I am sorry, she said finally. For what? For all of this. If I had not offered you the mace, then we would never have met, Tay said. And I would still be processing cargo shipments, never knowing I could be more than that. Nari touched his face gently. Her hand was warm. Do not die, Tay of Earth. I am beginning to think I would miss you. I will do my best, he promised. The grand arena was packed. Hundreds of aliens had gathered to watch. A human fighting a Karathi champion was unprecedented. Word had spread throughout the station. The arena floor was large and circular with a surface designed to provide good traction. Weapons racks lined one wall. Medical teams stood ready at both exits. Tay walked to the center, trying to control his breathing. The crowd's noise was overwhelming. Day entered from the opposite side. He carried a massive two-handed axe. The weapon had to weigh 200 pounds, but he held it like it weighed nothing. An official explained the rules. Fight until yield or incapacitation. No killing strikes intentionally, though accidents happened. No outside interference. Choose your weapon, human, the official said. Tay selected the blade Juan had acquired. It was lighter than Day's axe, designed for speed rather than power. He also took a medium-sized shield. Dai laughed when he saw Tay's choices. You think to dance around me? I will crush you in minutes. The official raised his hand. Fight begins now. Dai charged immediately. His axe swung in a massive arc aimed at Tay's head. Tay dove to the side, rolling across the arena floor. The axe struck where he had been standing, leaving a dent in the surface. The crowd roared. For the first 5 minutes, Tay did nothing but dodge. Dai attacked relentlessly, each strike powerful enough to end the fight instantly, but Tay kept moving, never staying in one place. Stand and fight, Tay bellowed. Tay remembered what Nari had taught him. Karathi physiology was optimized for short, explosive combat. Their muscles could generate incredible power quickly, but sustained effort in combat was not their strength. Humans, on the other hand, were persistence hunters. Earth's ancestors had chased prey for hours until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. Tay kept dodging. He made Day chase him around the arena. He used the weapon racks as obstacles. He made the champion work for every attempted strike. After 10 minutes, Day was still strong, but he was breathing harder. After 20 minutes, sweat covered the champion's face. After 30 minutes, Day's swings were still powerful but slower. His recovery between attacks took longer. The crowd had gone quiet. They were watching something unexpected. The human was not winning, but he was not losing either. He was surviving. At 40 minutes, Tay finally took his first offensive action. When Day swung his axe, Tay did not dodge away. He dodged forward inside the axe's arc where it could not reach him. He struck at Day's knee with his blade. The cut was not deep, but it drew blood. Day roared in pain and rage. He backhanded Tay with his free hand, sending the human flying across the arena. Tay hit the ground hard, his shield clattering away. Everything hurt. Tay's ribs screamed. Blood filled his mouth, but he pushed himself up. Day limped toward him, favoring his injured knee. His face was a mask of fury. You dare strike me? I am Champion Day of House Iron. I have killed warriors greater than you. Tay spat blood and raised his blade again. Then it is weird that you have not killed me yet. That sent Day over the edge. He charged with a wild overhead strike, putting all his remaining strength into one devastating blow. Tay saw it coming. Instead of dodging, he stepped forward again. He raised his blade and angled it just right. Day's axe struck the blade. The impact nearly tore the weapon from Tay's hands, but the angle deflected the axe to the side. Tay spun with the momentum and struck Day's injured knee again with the pommel of his sword. Something in the knee crunched. Day collapsed with a scream. He tried to rise, but his leg would not support him. He fell again. The arena went completely silent. The official approached cautiously. Champion Day, can you continue? Day tried to stand once more. His leg buckled. Rage and shame twisted his features. I cannot, he finally gasped. Winner. Tay of Earth, the official announced. The crowd exploded into noise. Cheers, shouts, disbelief. Tay barely heard it. He dropped his blade and collapsed to his knees, completely exhausted. Medical teams rushed to both fighters. Tay waved them toward Day first. Help him. His knee is badly damaged. Through the chaos, Tay saw Nari pushing through the crowd. She reached him and pulled him to his feet, crushing him in a hug that made his injured ribs scream. He did not care. You won, she whispered. You actually won. I survived, Tay corrected. There is a difference, but... Training Hall 7 was designed for heavy gravity species. The moment Tay stepped through the door, he felt the change. His legs suddenly weighed twice as much. His chest felt compressed. Each breath took effort. The gravity in this room was set to 1.5 times Earth normal. For the Karathi, this was probably comfortable. For Tay, it was like carrying another person on his back. Nari stood in the center of the hall wearing lighter armor than yesterday. She moved through a series of combat forms, her body flowing from one position to another with perfect grace. Despite her size, she moved like a dancer. You are late, she said without looking at him. Tay checked his datapad. I am 3 minutes early. For a warrior, early is on time. On time is late. Nari finished her form and turned to face him. How does the gravity feel? Heavy, Tay admitted. Karatha Prime has 1.4 standard gravity, Nari said. You will need to function in these conditions if you are to impress the council. We will train here every day. Over the next hour, Nari taught Tai basic Karathi stances. It was exhausting. Every movement required twice the normal effort. His muscles burned. Sweat soaked his clothes, but he kept going. Better, Nari said after his 20th attempt at a defensive stance. Your balance is improving. I feel like I am going to collapse, Tai gasped. Then collapse after training, not during, Nari replied. She handed him a water container. Rest for 5 minutes. Then we begin language lessons. Tai drank gratefully. His legs shook as he sat down on the training mat. The door to the hall opened. Rena, the scarred Karathi warrior from yesterday, entered. She looked at Tai with obvious disapproval. Commander, Rena said formally, I must speak with you. Speak freely, Nari replied. Tai is my betrothed. He will hear everything anyway. Rena's jaw tightened. Very well. The crew is talking. They do not understand why you waste time teaching a human. Some are saying you should have refused the bond regardless of tradition. And what do you say, old friend? Nari asked quietly. I say I do not understand it either, Rena admitted. She looked at Tai. No offense, human, but you are small, weak. Your species has no great warriors, no mighty deeds. Why should you deserve a place in house valor? Tai stood up slowly, his legs still trembling from the workout. He met Rena's gaze. You are right. Humans are not as strong as Karathi. We do not have your natural advantages. Rena looked surprised that he agreed. But we are still here, Tai continued. We survived in a galaxy that wanted to ignore us or exploit us. We learned, we adapted, and we kept going. That is what humans do. We do not give up just because something is hard. Pretty words, Rena said. Words do not win battles. Then let me show you, Tai said. The challenge came out before he could think about it. Nari stepped between them. Rena, he is not ready for a sparring match, Tai interrupted. Light contact. First to land 3 touches wins, Rena smiled. It was not a friendly smile. I accept. Nari looked at Tai like he had lost his mind. You have had 1 hour of training. Rena has fought for 30 years. I know, Tai said, but I need to start somewhere. They faced each other in the center of the hall. Nari explained the rules and signaled the start. Rena moved fast. Incredibly fast. Her first strike came at Tai's head. He barely dodged it. Her second went for his ribs. He blocked, but the impact rattled his arm. She was toying with him. He could see it in her eyes. She was not using her full strength, just enough to prove her point. Tai changed tactics. He stopped trying to match her strength and started using angles. When she struck high, he went low. When she advanced, he circled. He made himself unpredictable. It did not help much. Rena landed her first touch on his shoulder, then her second on his leg. 2-0. One more and he would lose. Tai's mind raced. He could not beat her with strength or speed. But Juan had once told him that every fighter had patterns. They just needed to be observed. Rena preferred high strikes. She moved forward aggressively. She expected opponents to retreat. So Tai did not retreat. When she came forward with another high strike, he stepped into it instead of away. He ducked under her arm and tapped her side with his fingertips. Rena froze, surprised. One touch, Nari called out. Rena's expression changed. The casual amusement vanished. Now she was actually trying. Her next attacks were faster, harder. Tai could not dodge them all. She scored her third touch on his chest. Match to Rena, Nari announced. Tai bent over, breathing hard. The heavy gravity made it worse. His lungs burned, but he had landed 1 touch. Against a veteran Karathi warrior, he had scored once. Rena approached him. Her expression was thoughtful. That last move. Where did you learn it? I made it up, Tai said between breaths. You adapted mid-combat, Rena said slowly. You observed my pattern and changed your strategy. Like I said, humans adapt. Rena looked at Nari. He is still weak, but there is something there. Intelligence, maybe. Creativity. She looked back at Tai. I will not apologize for my doubts, human. But I will watch you train. Perhaps I am wrong about your species. After Rena left, Nari helped Tai sit down. That was foolish, she said, but there was warmth in her voice. Also brave. Also a little bit brilliant. Did I pass some kind of test? Tai asked. You earned Rena's attention, Nari said. That is not easy. She has trained me since I was a child. Her opinion matters greatly to me. Over the following weeks, training became Tay's entire life. Every morning he met Nari in the heavy gravity hall. She taught him Karathi combat forms, language, and history. He learned that the Karathi had once been a fragmented people, divided into warring clans. The traditions that seemed so rigid now had actually saved them from self-destruction. The Mace of Choosing, the ritual combat, the strict honor codes, all of these had been created to channel Karathi aggression into something constructive. "We are warriors by nature," Nari explained one day, as they rested between training sessions. "Without tradition to guide us, we would destroy ourselves. The rules give us purpose, but do they give you freedom?" Tay asked. Nari was quiet for a moment. "I have never thought about it that way." In return, Tay taught Nari about Earth. He showed her human music, which fascinated her. Karathi songs were all military marches or ceremonial chants. The concept of music just for enjoyment, for emotion, was new to her. He told her about Earth's history, about how humans had almost destroyed their own planet before learning to work together, about the struggles of joining galactic society as one of the smallest, weakest species. "You have survived much," Nari said thoughtfully. "Perhaps your people are stronger than they appear." Juan visited often, bringing food from the station's restaurants. He found the entire situation hilarious. Only you could accidentally get engaged to an alien warrior princess. Juan laughed, handing Tay a container of noodles. "It is not funny," Tay grumbled. Though he was smiling. "It is a little funny," Juan said. Then his expression turned serious. "But also dangerous. Are you sure about this? Going to their homeworld?" "No," Tay admitted. "But what else can I do? Run, hide? That is not living." "Just be careful," Juan said. "You are my best friend. I do not want to lose you to some honor duel." On the 20th day of training, Nari took Tay to the station's observation deck. They stood together looking out at the stars. "In 10 days we depart," Nari said quietly. "Are you still certain about this path?" Tay watched a transport ship drift past the window, its lights blinking in the darkness. "I am terrified," he said honestly. "But yes, I am certain." "Why?" Nari asked. "You barely know me. You owe my people nothing." Tay thought about that. Over the past weeks, he had learned more than combat and language. He had learned about Nari herself, about the weight she carried, the expectations placed on her from childhood, about how she had never been allowed to choose her own path. "Maybe because we are both trapped by circumstances," Tay said. "You by tradition, me by accident. But we can choose how we face it." Nari turned to look at him. In the dim light of the observation deck, her silver markings seemed to glow. "You are not what I expected, Tay of Earth. You are not what I expected either, Nari of House Valor." She smiled and something passed between them. Not love, not yet. But understanding. Respect. The beginning of something that might become real. The comfortable silence was broken by Nari's communication device beeping urgently. She checked it and her expression darkened. "What is wrong?" Tay asked. "A message from Karatha Prime," Nari said slowly. "The rival House of Iron has heard about our situation. They are sending a champion to the station." "Why?" Nari's hand tightened on the railing. "To challenge your worthiness. If you lose, I will be dishonored, and House Iron will claim my family's seat on the council." Tay felt his stomach drop. "When does this champion arrive?" 3 days, Nari said. The peaceful moment was over. The real test was about to begin. 2 hours later, Tay sat in a small meeting room with Nari. The massive warrior looked uncomfortable in the standard station chair, which was built for smaller species. She kept shifting her weight, making the chair creak. "Let me understand this clearly," Tay said, rubbing his temples. "Because I held your mace, we are now engaged?" "Betrothed," Nari corrected. "The proper term in Karathi is chosen bond pair. It is a sacred commitment." "And you cannot just say it was a mistake? That you were testing my strength and did not mean anything by it?" Nari shook her head. The silver markings on her skin seemed to glow slightly in the room's light. "I am from the noble houses of Karatha Prime. My family sits on the High Council. To reject a worthy mate who held the Mace of Choosing would bring dishonor to my entire bloodline. But I am human," Tay said. "Most of the galaxy thinks we are weak. Surely your people would understand making an exception." "That is precisely the problem," Nari said quietly. "If you were weak, this would be simple. I could claim you failed the test. But you did not fail. You held the mace. Everyone saw it. The other warriors will report this to the council immediately. Tay leaned back in his chair. This was insane. He had woken up this morning planning to process cargo shipments and maybe grab lunch at the noodle shop on level 12. Now he was engaged to an alien. What happens if we do nothing, he asked. I go back to my job, you go back to your ship, we both pretend this never happened. The council will summon me home, Nari said. They will demand an explanation. If I arrive without you, without a valid reason for breaking the bond, my family will lose status. My younger brothers will lose their military positions. My mother, the matriarch of House Valor, will face challenges from rival houses. That seems like a lot of pressure over a tradition, Tay muttered. You do not understand, Nari said, and for the first time Tay heard frustration in her voice. The Karathi have followed these traditions for thousands of years. They are what kept our people together through wars, plagues, and the collapse of our old empire. Tradition is everything. It is more important than individual feelings or convenience. Tay studied her face. There was something there hidden behind the formal warrior mask, something that looked like sadness. You do not want this either, he said softly. Nari's expression shifted. She looked away. What I want does not matter. I am a warrior of House Valor. I have been trained since age 5 to serve my people and uphold our traditions. My wants are secondary to my duty. That sounds lonely, Tay said. Nari looked back at him surprised. No one has ever said that to me before. They sat in silence for a moment. The station hummed around them. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds going about their lives, unaware of the strange situation unfolding in this small meeting room. Okay, Tay said finally. What are our options? All of them. Nari straightened in her chair, returning to her formal commander voice. 3 paths are acceptable under Karathi law. First, we complete the bonding ceremony. This would make you a full member of House Valor and grant you all the rights and responsibilities of a Karathi noble. Marriage for real, Tay said. What is option 2? You prove yourself unworthy through ritual combat. You would face Karathi champions in traditional duels. If you lose, the bond is voided with no dishonor to either party. And when you say lose, you mean death or permanent injury, Nari said matter-of-factly. Karathi ritual combat is fought with real weapons. It is not a game. Tay felt his stomach drop. That does not sound like a good option. No, Nari agreed. Which brings us to option 3. You die of natural causes or accident before the bonding ceremony. This would be unfortunate but would void the contract without dishonor. So my options are get married, get killed in a fight, or die accidentally, Tay said. Wonderful. I did not create these laws, Nari said defensively. I am simply explaining them. Tay stood up and paced the small room. His mind raced through possibilities. There had to be another way. Humans had not survived first contact with dozens of hostile alien species by giving up when things looked impossible. What if we use this situation? He said suddenly. What do you mean? Think about it, Tay said, his words coming faster as the idea formed. Right now, most of the galaxy treats humans like we are children. Weak, fragile, not worth serious attention. But I just held a Karathi ceremonial mace. I did something no other alien species has ever done. Nari tilted her head, listening. What if I go with you to Karatha Prime? Tay continued. What if I participate in your traditions, learn your ways, and prove to the High Council that humans deserve more respect? We might not want this engagement, but we can use it to change how our people see each other. You would do that? Subject yourself to the judgment of the council? Nari asked. Better than the alternative, Tay said. Besides, I'm good at adapting. It is kind of a human specialty. Nari stood up, her full height making the ceiling seem low. She looked at Tay with new interest. You think strategically. Most beings in your situation would panic or try to run. You are looking for advantage. Panicking does not solve problems, Tay said. Working the problem does. A small smile crossed Nari's face. Perhaps you are not entirely unworthy after all. High praise, Tay said dryly. When does your ship depart? He asked. 30 station days, Nari replied. We are transporting supplies and personnel to 3 colonies before returning to Karatha Prime. 30 days, Tay repeated. Enough time to learn about Karathi culture? Barely, Nari said. But I will teach you what I can. If you are serious about facing the council, you will need to understand our history, our language, and our combat traditions. Combat traditions? Tay asked nervously. The council will test you, Nari explained. They will want to see if you are truly worthy, or if your holding the mace was simply luck. You will need to prove yourself. Great, Tay muttered. No pressure. Nari moved toward the door, then paused. She looked back at Tay with an unreadable expression. Why are you doing this? You could simply leave the station. Disappear into human space. My people would never find you. Tay thought about that. It was true. He could run. But running meant living with fear, always looking over his shoulder. And it meant leaving things the way they were, with humans seen as the weak link in galactic society. Because I am tired of being underestimated, he said honestly, and because you seem like you could use an ally, even if that ally is an accidental fiancé. Nari's smile was genuine this time.
Very well, Tay of Earth. Meet me tomorrow in Training Hall 7.
We begin your education in the ways of the Karathi. What time? Tay asked. Dawn cycle, Nari said. Of course it is. Tay sighed. After Nari left, Tay sat alone in the meeting room for a long time. He had just agreed to something completely crazy. He was going to learn alien warrior traditions, travel to a heavy gravity world, and face a council of the most powerful fighters in the galaxy. His hands were still shaking a little from holding that mace. But somewhere under the fear, Tay felt something else, excitement, purpose. For 5 years, he had been processing cargo shipments, living a quiet life in the background of galactic civilization. Now he had a chance to actually matter, to change things. He pulled out his communication device and called his best friend. Juan, you are not going to believe what just happened to me. The cargo bay of Trading Station Epsilon 7 smelled like metal and recycled air. Tay stood in front of a stack of shipping containers, checking his datapad for the 3rd time that hour. Numbers glowed on the screen, listing contents and destinations. Everything had to match perfectly or the shipment would not leave the station. He heard heavy footsteps behind him. Very heavy. The kind that made the metal floor vibrate slightly with each step. Tay turned around and looked up. Way up, the alien warrior standing before him was massive. She had to be at least 8 feet tall, maybe more. Her skin was dark blue with silver markings that ran down her arms like tattoos. She wore armor that looked like it was made from black metal, covering her chest and shoulders. Muscles showed through gaps in the armor. This was not someone who sat at a desk all day. I am Commander Nari of the Karathi Defense Fleet, the alien said. Her voice was deep and strong. I need to inspect Container 742. Tay glanced at his datapad. Container 742 belonged to a private client. The paperwork said no inspections without proper authorization codes. Do you have the authorization codes? Tay asked, keeping his voice polite but firm. Nari stared down at him. Most aliens on the station were bigger than humans, but the Karathi were something else entirely. They were known across the galaxy as the ultimate warriors. Strong, fast, and nearly impossible to defeat in combat. They worked as elite guards and soldiers for anyone who could afford them. I do not need codes, Nari said. I am Karathi. I understand, Tay replied, but station regulations say I need proper authorization. No exceptions. Several other Karathi warriors had gathered behind their commander. They wore similar armor and carried weapons that looked like they could cut through a spaceship hull. One of them laughed quietly. The small one has courage, the warrior muttered in the Karathi language. Tay had learned enough alien languages during his 5 years on the station to understand basic phrases. Nari tilted her head, studying Tay with interest. Most species avoided eye contact with the Karathi. They were too intimidating. But this human stood his ground, datapad in hand, refusing to back down. You are not afraid? Nari asked. I'm doing my job, Tay said. If you get the codes, I will open the container. Until then, it stays sealed. Something changed in Nari's expression. The hard edge softened just a little. She nodded slowly. You follow your duty. This is honorable. She reached for her belt and pulled out a small device. Here are the codes. Tay checked the authorization. Everything matched. He input the commands and Container 742 hissed open. Nari inspected the contents quickly, then nodded with satisfaction. Everything is in order, she said. Tay expected her to leave. Instead, Nari continued to stare at him with that same curious expression. You are stronger than you look, small one, she said. My name is Tai, he replied, and I am average size for a human. Tay, Nari repeated, testing the name. I am told your species is fragile. Weak bones, soft skin, poor strength compared to most galactic species. It was not said with cruelty, just stating facts the way someone might comment on the weather. Humans have different strengths, Tay said carefully. Nari smiled. It was not a mean smile, but there was challenge in it. She reached behind her back and pulled out a weapon that made Tay's eyes widen. It was a mace, but not like any mace from Earth history. This thing was enormous. The handle was as thick as Tay's arm and nearly 4 feet long. The head of the mace was covered in decorative metalwork, with symbols etched deep into the surface. It gleamed under the cargo bay lights. This is my ceremonial mace, Nari said. It has been in my family for 12 generations. Every warrior of House Valor carries one. It is very impressive, Tay said, wondering where this was going. Hold this, small one, Nari said, offering the mace to him. The other Karathi warriors chuckled. One of them said something in their language that Tay did not catch, but it sounded amused. Tay looked at the mace. He understood what was happening. This was a test. Nari expected him to try to take it and immediately drop it. A little joke to prove humans were as weak as everyone said. He had 2 choices, refuse and seem cowardly, or try and fail spectacularly. Tay reached out and gripped the handle with both hands. The weight hit him immediately. His arms screamed in protest. The mace had to weigh over 300 pounds, maybe more. His shoulders burned. His back muscles tensed. Every instinct told him to let go before he hurt himself. But Tay had spent his teenage years in Earth's training colonies, where gravity was set to 1.2 times normal, to prepare colonists for heavy gravity worlds. He had spent his off hours in the station's heavy gravity gym, pushing himself to stay strong in a galaxy where humans were considered small and weak. He adjusted his stance, spreading his feet wider. He lowered his center of gravity. He let the weight settle through his core instead of just his arms. And he held on. 3 seconds passed, then 5, then 10. The laughter from the other Karathi warriors stopped. Nari's smile vanished completely. Her eyes went wide. She stared at Tay like he had just performed magic. You, she whispered. You hold it. Tay's muscles were on fire. Sweat ran down his forehead, but he kept his grip firm. Do you want it back? He managed to say through gritted teeth. Nari did not take the mace back. Instead, she took a step away from him. Her face had gone pale, which was impressive considering her blue skin. By the ancient laws, Nari said quietly, you hold the mace of choosing. Do you know what this means? Should I? Tay asked. His arms were really starting to shake now. One of the other Karathi warriors stepped forward. This one was female, with scars across her face and arms. She looked at Tay with something between shock and horror. Commander, the scarred warrior said urgently. Perhaps the human does not understand our traditions. He held it for more than 3 heartbeats, Nari interrupted. Her voice sounded strange. The law is clear, Rena. What law? Tay asked. He really needed to put this mace down soon. Nari took a deep breath. When she spoke, her voice was steady, but Tay could hear something underneath it. Panic, maybe, or disbelief. In Karathi tradition, the mace of choosing is only given to potential mates, Nari explained. If the one who receives it can hold the mace for more than 3 heartbeats, they have proven themselves worthy of bonding. Tay almost dropped the mace in shock. Almost. You mean marriage? He asked. The closest equivalent in your language, yes, Nari said. No alien species has ever held a Karathi mace. They are designed to be impossible for anyone but our kind to wield. You should not be able to hold it. But I am holding it, Tay said. Yes, Nari replied. And now, by the traditions of my people, you are considered my betrothed. The cargo bay went completely silent except for the hum of the station's life support systems. Tay finally let the mace lower to the ground, his arms grateful for the relief. He looked up at Nari, who looked back at him with an expression he could not quite read. This is a joke, right? Tay asked hopefully. The Karathi do not joke about matters of honor and tradition, Rena said flatly. Tay realized he had just accidentally gotten engaged to an 8-foot-tall alien warrior princess from the most powerful military species in the galaxy. His day had just gotten very complicated.